What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today is May the 8th. I want to give you a quick pre-market update, go over some of the hot movers and what big money is doing today. Before I get into any of that though, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. Starting off with data points, you do have the typical stuff for a Thursday. So initial jobless claims, current forecast is 240,000. Last week, it did come in a little bit hotter, spooked the broader market, although I think last week the market was rather jumpy. This time around, market seems to be fairly optimistic, so the fear and greed index is under the greed category, meaning people's appetite for risk is on the table. And not only that though, you have the market very focused on this. So this came out late last night and it just shows major trade deal news conference tomorrow, meaning today, at 10 a.m. So I think a lot of people are trying to speculate on who the deal is going to be with. I think some individuals have narrowed it down to either the UK or Japan. Both I think is fairly advantageous. So the UK might help with potential, even though they're not part of the EU, it might help with EU being the next, because I think the market ultimately cares about EU and China. And so I think both Japan and technically the UK are good entry points into that. So we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out. But futures are fairly green. So Dow is up 0.99, S&P 1.16, NASDAQ 1.55. So today seems to be a pretty good day so far. And again, I don't believe that there is anything for face value that could really prompt a pullback based on data points. Even aside from that, you might have a little bit of kind of volatility near power hour, as maybe there might be some entities kind of worried about the bombardment of Fed speakers tomorrow. So that could cause some negative volatility as they try to probably focus on tariffs, what that's doing for the broader economy and what that could potentially do. So just anticipate some volatility near the end of the day. But aside from that though, getting right to it, SoFi is up 2.38%, piggybacking off the broader market. No news from them today, no SEC filings, but they do typically put out news around that 8 a.m. mark. So it's usually my pre-market videos are always before their news. But aside from all that though, shorts are returning. It looks like it was negative 193,000 that just kind of reverted back. So they are active, but probably more oriented towards returning. Because yeah, it would be rather stupid for shorts to really increase given the market momentum. And also SoFi wants to get back to that 13 to 17 happy range, but 13.66% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 148.14 million shares overall are being shorted. Short score is a 55.98. And so a couple of key points to really watch for. So with it right now at 1333 pre-market, it is trading between this R1 and the pivot. So 1413 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. And honestly, given the momentum, I wouldn't rule that out being touched, because we've seen SoFi in the past, even this week, outperform the broader market. And now you're having really a good sense of FOMO, and there's not really much downside, at least for today, unless you never know. Maybe that big deal that Trump's going to be talking on is it's that McDonald island just with penguins or whatever. Maybe that's what they made a deal with. Then yeah, of course, I guess that could really pop the optimism. But I do realistically see this R1 potentially to be touched. So again, a good swing trade opportunity. Flip side, 1187 is going to be the next strong support, and I don't see that being touched, at least for the foreseeable future. Google, so they got absolutely hammered. So for being a mega cap stock, for it to go down 7.51%, which is rather kind of crazy. And that is because of Apple. So Apple potentially looking at switching it from being the default search browser or the search option. So they're going to be looking at AI. So of course, that's a big hit to Google. In my opinion, I still do not feel that is going to, it's not that big of a deal in my opinion. Apple is probably just humoring one of many options. Google could obviously coincide with Apple on various things. So I personally did buy the Google dip. A lot of big money seems to be focusing on it today. So it's within the top 10. and that's normally not always the case. So Google, or I guess Alphabet, does typically have a little bit on the lower end for volume. So definitely big money is buying it today. When it comes down to shorts, obviously it's not a squeeze play at all, with only 0.36% of the free float being shorted, but shorts returning roughly 10,000 shares pre-market. It's definitely telling that it's kind of very at a pretty deep discount. But right now, with shorts returning 10,000 shares, it kind of shows that it's at a pretty deep discount in my opinion. But let me know your viewpoint on that. A couple key points to really watch for though, with it at 155, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 147 will be a strong support. I don't see that being touched today. Flip side, 157 is going to be the next strong target. And realistically, once the market does open, I could see that being touched. Again, because I feel like there's going to be a couple things really influencing Google. One is just going to be the market momentum. Secondly, you're going to have a certain level of institutions feeling that yesterday's pullback was unjustified. So you're going to have two different spectrums trying to really push up Google. So I do feel that 157 could be touched. Whether it breaks above that or not, I'm not really sure. Most likely not, but let me know your viewpoint on that. And then moving on, so ARM, they did have their earnings and they kind of followed the forward route where they did fail to give future guidance because of all the crazy uncertainty. And there was a couple of other negatives that obviously caused it to go down. But nonetheless, though, if you believe in a bigger picture, then have at it, buy the dip, do what you need to do. But yeah, it might be something to kind of keep in mind. But shorts aren't doing anything this morning. 12.85% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 16.6 million shares overall are being shorted. And you can kind of see based on this that shorts did anticipate that they were going to flop on their earnings. So they recently went from 10.4 to where it is now. So not an overly crazy jump, but for being a kind of a large cap stock, definitely it does stand out. Normally you don't see that big of kind of moves. But aside from that though, with it at 113, it is trading between this R1 and the pivot. 102 is going to be a strong support. I don't see that being touched whatsoever. Flip side, 116 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. And honestly, that could be touched. I don't see it breaking above that, so most likely it'll kind of hover around right below that R1. So still, if you're looking to swing trade, that might be a good potential opportunity. So again, this is getting a lot of volume this morning, so something to add to your watch list. LegalZoom, they absolutely kicked ass on their earnings, so it is up 16.55%. This stock is fairly volatile on a side note, but over the last 1 year it is down 40.53%. So it didn't really participate in the recent kind of recovery from the recent lows at the beginning of April. So I do feel that it's kind of trading at a pretty good discount. Shorts though, 5.14% of the free floats being shorted, worked out to be 6.07 million shares. They, similar to what happened with ARM, did feel that it was going to flop on their earnings, and this is why they have really doubled down. But I think they really pulled a rabbit out of the hat, or whatever kind of phrase that is. But I do feel that shorts are kind of stuck in a little bit of a scenario, so you might see some kind of shorts returning, not a mother of all short squeeze kind of scenarios, but you will see shorts returning, adding some pretty good buying pressure. Right now with it though, at 856, trading between these 2 points, so this R2 and this R1, 906 will be that next strong target / resistance, followed by 999. Then flip side, 849 is going to be the next strong support, which is kind of close to it. And then aside from that, 756. In my opinion, I do feel that it will close somewhere between this R3 and this R2, only because again, you have it trading at a pretty deep discount. Their earnings were phenomenal, so justifying for it to kind of get back in this range, in my opinion, of course. So let me know your viewpoint. So that'll be a pretty good return on investment just for today for a quick swing trade. And then last but not least, ticker is ASST. No official news from them today. Rather, they're piggybacking off of yesterday's news. And so as you can kind of see, yesterday's news was Strive Asset Management to combine with asset entities to form first publicly traded asset management Bitcoin treasury company. So pretty hot topic. So let me know your viewpoint on that. And if you did buy the dip yesterday, luckily individuals that did, because it went up 455%. But shorts this morning are increasing 1.29 million shares. Nothing really crazy, but they're increasing their position by 590%. So they are saying, F it, it's not worth these valuations. So we're going to double down. Currently 12.01% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 1.51 million shares. And like I said, shorts are increasing 1.29 million. So they definitely are doubling, tripling, quadrupling down. And it is right now with it at 482, trading between this R3 and this R2. So given the pre-existing momentum, I wouldn't rule out this R3 to be touched. So 577. Flip side, 423 is going to be a strong support. And realistically, this is a very big momentum play. So both could be touched in general. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon. I give buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point and bangers. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.